I am pissed, so I want to have a rant. I actually wrote a short version of this on another creator their post, which a fair amount of people seem to agree with. And now, we're here. So if you don't like this kind of video, please, click away. Now, let's get this over with, shall we? I assume you've clicked on this here video because you have watched and had to endure, just as I have, the showcase celebrating 25 years of Total War, the series of strategy games developed by Creative Assembly which became very popular because of their real-time battles, featuring hundreds if not thousands of soldiers on the field, and the level of control you were able to exert over these units, allowing you to strategize, use flanking maneuvers, formations, and sometimes just sheer wits and luck to vanquish your opponent, with the campaign map allowing you to manage factions turn-based and prepare yourself for these inevitable conflicts. Well, I'm here to say that the company that made games such as Shogun, Medieval, Rome, Medieval 2, Empire, Napoleon, and Shogun 2 has lost itself along the way, resulting in the mess we've been seeing these past few years, with Creative Assembly facing major problems when it comes to releasing new Total War games. We're talking about technical issues, bugs, games that fail to meet expectations or ignore certain parts of the player base, resulting in community backlash, with in turn poor communication from CA or the occasional apology letter. And as a result, we got the trust of the consumer vaporizing as time goes on, leading to financial pressure, resulting in strategic blunders on their part, which is ironic considering you're a company that is developing strategy games. Yet you'd rather opt to make all these expensive DLCs that offer poor value, or let us even talk about copy-pasting mechanics from earlier games, branding them as new to essentially hoodwink your community who knows it's just an evolution of already existing systems. And you do this all for that almighty dollar or pound or whatever it is that you appear to hold so dearly these days. Gone are the days Total War games were made by people with passion, or so it seems, because you would think by watching the showcase that some of them are held up at gunpoint, trying their best not to show in how much trouble their brand really is. I made a video about Alien Isolation roughly 2 years ago, which was also developed crazy enough by CA, and which got released back in 2014. I said in that particular video, titled Creative Assembly's Horror Masterpiece, where I complimented the quality of the game, that I believe that was CA at their peak. Something happened after the release of that game, because if you compare the titles they made before 2014 to the ones after, I'm sorry, but it's day and night difference. I released that video back in December 2023, so roughly 2 years ago as I mentioned, and I still stand by what I said. In fact, around that time CA issued a major apology for the issues with Total War Pharaoh and the Warhammer 3 DLC, I believe, with another apology for Warhammer 3's AI problems in October of this very year. So I think it is fair to say it hasn't gotten any better. Now, we were promised the announcement of 2 major titles during the showcase, heralding a new era for Total War. 1 fantasy title and 1 historical. Sadly, I have watched the entirety of the showcase twice, because I followed other creators their points of view. The showcase lasted well over an hour, and for the first 40 minutes or so, they talked about the DLC for Warhammer 3. I'm sorry for you Warhammer fans here, I just didn't care. And having seen some other creators' points of views, it is fair to say most were just waiting for the 2 games that were promised. All we got was talk about the DLC and the new engine which they were working on and how they will be using that for their upcoming games, which, okay, fine, that last part was interesting, but whoever planned this showcase, holy blue balls. You are hosting an anniversary showcase celebrating 25 years of your franchise. Make it exciting. Show a teaser at the start, then talk about your next projects, and you can even have the full trailers release at the Game Awards or something. Up the wow factor and quality of the production of your showcase, and God, I hate the company talk and the way that you manage to make something that is meant to entice and hype up players so goddamn boring. This was just you talking about your franchise for a very long time, and in such a way as if most players that watch your showcase have only just now stumbled upon Total War for the very first time. What in fresh hell were you guys thinking? Finally, we arrived to the announcement of the first Total War title that we can expect. Now, the franchise was created not just because of the love the developers had for strategy games, but also their passion and interest when it came to history. Thus, the next major historical title that got announced during this showcase was Medieval 3 Total War. Not a surprise to most. I even listed it at the top of my post when I asked you guys which game you think they would announce. Yet what was very interesting and telling about the announcement, which quite a few of you gentle viewers noticed, was the fact that they very quickly, after showing us a live action teaser and telling us all about how you can change history and all that good stuff, that the game was in early pre-production. Yes, I'm not kidding. Pre-production in gaming lingo is already the early stage of the development cycle, where the game's core ideas, mechanics, art style, potential story, setting, and technical parts are defined before you go into full development, so specifically naming it early pre-production is telling. They mention all of these things that you're going to be able to do or what their goal is in making this game, and I was standing there cooking my delicious spaghetti bolognese in the meantime, listening on my phone to fellow creators react to it, and I thought to myself, they could have dreamt about making this game just a few days ago. We could be years away from any form of release, so why announce it now? Well, it's quite obvious why they announced it now. I'm pretty sure you guys will agree that this tactically may have been a very good decision considering the tumultuous times that they've been through, though otherwise also a risky one. They want people to be excited about their next game, and why not make a sequel to a very beloved game in their franchise, which is of course Medieval 2, so we can get some positivity back in those good old discussions. I'm especially angry because there are creators and people who are falling for this hook, line and sinker. If only to use those lovely clickbait titles or thumbnails of Total War is back, or that the franchise needs Medieval 3 and what more. No, I don't buy it. I'm sorry, you can't possibly make those kind of videos or posts just yet, because we haven't been shown anything concrete. It is all ideas, concepts, and everything they mentioned is subject to change because yes, they are still that early in development. I get and understand that you are trying to expunge the past few years from your mind with this announcement, but come on, have a little bit of a spine. I was actually pretty disappointed and upset with the way that they handled this showcase, and even more so when we finally came to the second announcement, which in fact turned out to be an announcement announcing the announcement of their next major game, which should be the fantasy game we were promised. I mean, what is going on? What are we doing? What are we doing? Well, it's exactly as I said. It is to generate hype and get people to talk positively about them again, despite how much damage the franchise sustained in these last few years. I'm disappointed in how CA approaches their games, particularly how they communicate with the player base, and I think if anything I wish comes across to them, which, should they stumble upon this video, is that they really need to reconsider how to go forward from here in terms of a number of issues and missteps they caused and they need to solve. Medieval 3 Total War will be without a doubt a make or break for many of their player base, in particular those who are more inclined to play historical strategy games. Much will depend on the state of the game upon release. the gameplay mechanics, and the style they're going for. I need not remind the historical players about the chances of Medieval 3 heading in the same direction like games as Troy or Pharaoh, God forbid, with poor performances, AI pathfinding issues, bugs, or a hero system which I believe best suits games focusing on the mythological aspects, or just stick it to fantasy. Let us get back to the days where you don't have overpowered heroes battling against multiple soldiers at once, turning the game into something goofy, all the while undermining tactical play and the realism aspect of it. Keep it more grounded, like you did before, please. To end this video on a little bit more of a positive note, I think it is fair to say that Creative Assembly will have to rebuild trust with its player base. And they can, by focusing back on making quality products instead of quantity, and next to that they need to seriously work on their communication. Only time will tell what kind of game Medieval 3 will turn out to be. I know I'm skeptic, yet there remains a tiny bit of hope.
Just a fool's hope.
Let's just pray that they don't mess this one up. And Alien Isolation 2. Don't mess that one up either. I really like the first one.